If you're in your 30s, single, and you actually want to build a family, but you continue doing what you're doing, you'll blink and you'll wake up one day, realize that you're 42 and still single and wondering why. That's me, by the way. I'm 42, single, and I've spent enough nights asking myself that question. And here's what I figured out. It's mostly your own fault. It's not that you haven't met the right person yet, or that you're too busy with work, or that you're just picky. These are just the things that you tell yourself so it doesn't feel like it's completely on you, but it totally is. And if you're in your 30s right now, there's still time to not end up where I am today, but only if you catch this stuff early. And this video isn't for people who are actually happy solo. If that's you, man, then genuinely good for you. This is for people who want a partner, a family, and the whole thing, but they just keep not getting there. Same as me. And honestly, when I actually sat down and thought about why, it came down to 3 things. The first reason is that you think you've got time. And this is the big one. When you're in your 30s, you tell yourself, okay, next year I'll actually focus on this. Because right now, it's just work or business or travel first. And it feels true. Time feels infinite when you're 32. You've got energy, your options feel wide open, and everyone around you seems to be doing their own thing at their own pace. So there's no real sense of urgency. And honestly, some of that thinking makes sense. You shouldn't rush into something just because a clock is ticking. But here's what actually happens. Next year doesn't have a deadline attached to it. There's no alarm that goes off. So next year quietly becomes the year after that, then it's 2 years, and then 5, and then you end up at a friend's kid's birthday party just like me, standing there with a paper plate of cake, watching him chase his kid around the yard, and you start doing the math in your head like, wait, how long have I actually been saying next year I'll focus on finding someone? And when I thought about it, it had been way longer than I wanted to admit. There's no moment where you just wake up ready. Nobody sends you a sign, and the annoying truth is, waiting for the perfect time to prioritize this doesn't actually make it easier later on. It just means that you're doing it with less energy and a smaller dating pool and just a lot more baggage. The math doesn't get better with time, it actually gets worse. So if you're in your 30s and you're telling yourself, I'll get serious about this eventually, that eventually needs to have an actual date attached to it, or it's just never gonna come. The second reason is that you get pickier in the wrong ways. And honestly, it's not even about the looks. If anything, that matters less the older you get, believe it or not. It's the fact that you've got history now, and you've had the bad dates, the relationships that didn't work out, and like a situationship that dragged on for way longer than it should have. And your brain starts pattern matching everything. It's basically trying to protect you from getting hurt again, which makes sense, but it also means that you walk into every new person with like a checklist running in the background, whether you like it or not. Things like she talks too much, or her lifestyle is not really my vibe, or she's not positive enough. And look, having standards is good. You should have standards. But the problem is when the list stops being about actual compatibility and starts being like these tiny forgivable stuff, like one slightly awkward date and you've already mentally filed that person under a no. At some point, you're not looking for someone to build a life with anymore. You're looking for someone who just fits perfectly into the life that you've already built for yourself, by yourself, with zero friction and zero adjustment required from you. And that person basically doesn't exist, because relationships are supposed to require some adjusting. That's kind of the whole point of relationships. And listen, I do this too, by the way, like literally right now, I'm doing it with someone that I'm seeing. I'm finding little things to nitpick on instead of just asking myself, if this is actually someone worth building something with. The third reason is comfort. Now this one's sneaky, and honestly, I think it's the biggest one. You live alone for a while and you've built this routine that's completely yours. You wake up whenever, you eat whatever you want, you just don't answer to anybody, you watch what you want, and you can spend a Saturday doing absolutely nothing and nobody questions it. And genuinely, it feels great. Like there's a real peace to it. But that comfort quietly turns into a cage, because a relationship means sharing space and adjusting your habits and compromising on stuff that you don't currently have to compromise on. Somebody else's opinion suddenly matters in decisions that used to be just you. And when you've been solo for a while, the idea of breaking any part of your routine for someone else doesn't sound romantic. It sounds like a shit ton of work, and it sounds like giving up something that's extremely valuable to you. So without really noticing, you start protecting your comfort more than you're actually pursuing connection. Like you'll sit there with someone and then you'll say, I'm actually looking for a partner. But if you look at what you actually do with your time and your weekends, your energy, it tells a completely different story. You've optimized your life to be comfortable completely alone. And then you wonder why it's hard to let someone into a life that was never built with room for them in the first place. So yeah, being single isn't a failure, and if you're actually good on your own, I'm genuinely happy for you, man. That's a completely valid choice if that's what you're into. But if you are like me, sitting there at 11 p.m. wishing that you had someone next to you, at some point you have to be extremely honest with what you're currently doing and realizing that it's not working. You can't keep doing the exact same thing and expect a different result. You've got to decide at a certain point, what actually matters more to you? Is it keeping 100% of your comfort, or is it letting someone in even when it's inconvenient and even when it messes up your routine? And I'll just tell you from experience, man, the comfort's amazing and it's peaceful, but it ends up being extremely lonely. Like, look at me on a Saturday afternoon when all my friends are pretty much married with kids and no one has time to see me, and I'm just single. It really ends up being lonely, no matter what these guys online tell you. If any of this hits close to home, let me know in the comments. I'm genuinely curious what's actually holding you back, or if you've already figured out how to break through this stuff, drop that too.